If you guys don't stop grooming yourself in fucking front of me, I look like this.
Russ, you try having fucking bangs.
Fuck you both. Fuck you both.
No, you try having bangs that you cut yourself. Fuck you.
Fuck
The
you both. I look like I shaved myself. I look
No, I
like
said you try having bangs that you cut yourself.
I would like to try to have bangs. Hi, welcome to the Indie Music Network podcast presented by Not Dead Yet Media. It's where we talk about how to break through the noise, gain some visibility in the music industry, and build a lasting career. Today's episode in our ongoing series, DIY Doesn't Mean Do It Alone, takes a look at songs. As James Carville would say, instead of the economy, it's the song stupid. So I'm joined here to talk about songs with my really close friends and partners, Rebecca Carroll and Heather DeArmas.
I'm Rebecca Carroll. I have worked in for major labels, indie labels, music and media startups. I started 2 of my own companies, but through that whole process, I realized that I'm really a social entrepreneur. So I like to have a team of people to build things with together.
I'm Heather DeArmas. I started my own artist management company and label at 25, and then I merged with Russ and Rebecca last year and am now partner and COO at Not Dead Yet Media. So we always talk with artists about the 3 pillars, the most important things for an artist. And the first one being a song, second being touring, and third being the fans. So today we're going to dive into, it's always the song, as Russ likes to say.
You know, the first time you heard Firestarter and Breathe, you knew that there was just something, to me, it was like listening to God Save the Queen the first time.
Right.
The world stopped, there was something new happening, and it was Prodigy taking electronic music to a rock level and a stadium level, and you just knew it. You knew that there was nothing, it was like the world stopped, it ended, and then a new world began. That's how it felt. You heard it and you went, okay, my life is changed. And so what happens when you feel that is you don't care what anyone else thinks. I feel that when we do things right, we are the original fans. We are the diehards because we're in the business, or we may have certain power to be able to move some levers, right? But the biggest thing is the passion that you're bringing, and the fact that you don't take no for an answer. There is no. You look at someone and you go, you're just an idiot, and it doesn't matter. You just don't see it yet. Here's the Kool-Aid, I'm leaving it on your desk,
Right?
drink it whenever you want, but I'm coming back. Like, I'm not going away. And that feeling of, oh my God, this is life changing, to be a part of that, or be in the studio and hear something and know that even when they don't go as far as you believe they can, they go far enough that everybody's good, right? So you always feel that way. But I felt that way about a lot of bands that we work with. Tantric had some great songs, and it did go gold, but could it have gone more? Again, there's so many things that happen with life about that. And again, when you're able to do something, I mean, with Jonas the other day, the Meat Puppets, I mean, they never had that before, but that was life changing for them in so many ways.
Yeah.
So, but it's always around a song. You may love, we love albums all the time, but you brought into the album from the song.
Would you say with a lot of these songs, the reason that you liked them so much or that they took off is because of the hook?
I was just going to say the hook, to me, the hook could be either, like, it could be musical or it could be a lyric.
Well,
Agreed.
both.
So,
Or
or both.
in the
So,
same song. So, or if you're as great as the Beatles, it could just be a verse that is actually the whole song.
Or
It
Hard Day's
never
Night.
is a chorus. So
It's a chord
yes,
at the
so
beginning of Hard Day's Night. You hear that chord.
it's usually a melody,
Yeah.
and a phrase. It's lyrics to. If it was easy to dissect, everyone would do it. So
Right.
everyone strives to get that, but it is the when people say the hook, it's the thing that grabs you and doesn't let you go. So how many ways can you develop a hook? Well, what's in the song? So, for some songs it's the beat, for some songs it's a lyric line, for some, but what usually happens is there's perfectly made soup, and it has that. And many people who are much smarter have, besides me, much smarter than me, have said before, you want to be able to hit people in the head, the heart, and the hips.
That's so
What
good.
that's what perfect is, right? Because if you think about songs you love, I mean, outside of a ballad, right, which again are
Right.
hits too, but you need a combination of those three. So I think 2 out of 3 you're doing great, but 3 out of 3 is when
Don't be
there you
sad.
go, right? Or there's Michael Jackson, right? So I mean, the artist, not the person. But I do think again there are bands that I love that you don't or don't know of that don't have big audience. Again, I'm just thinking of the new Social D record, Social Distortion. Old guys doing punk still, and their first 2 new songs are just as good as anything else. They're not playing the arenas, right? But they've
Right.
been doing it since the '90s.
Right. And they
Google
have
Dolls, same thing.
such a strong brand and reputation too. Because you say Social D, if you're familiar at all with their music, you already have an impression or a feeling about how the new songs could feel or make you feel, how it might sound, like what the bass might be, what the drums might be, right? And that is also a kind of a result of a product of longevity too, of having a career like we're talking about.
But there's again, for the 1% that are superstars, there's the messengers that still play and play clubs. I love Frank Turner, right?
Right.
They're still making careers out of this, and do I think Frank Turner should be 5 times bigger than he is? Yes, but does Frank Turner have a catalog that's fantastic, and a music career that's to be envied by a lot of other people? There are country artists that have the same thing. There are new bands like the Beaches, right?
Right.
Waves. Jesus, I'm trying to think of and who comes out of nowhere is
Wolf Alice.
Wolf again. So, but we could go back to each one and name songs, right? Noah Khan, that actually now has a documentary on Netflix. I just want to make sure that, and there are artists, like, each of them have followings, and each of them have careers. Elliott Murphy is an artist that's been playing for a while that has that. I mean, we could just go through a list of people that are able to do what they love and have a career to be able to make it. And there are just as many new artists in the last 5 years that have
Yeah.
gone on to be able to do this, and not fully. When Lucy Dawkins first started, that was a good complete indie thing, and then it became a superstar band. But her solo stuff is fantastic. Some of the best songs that I've heard in the last several years are by her, and some of the best lyrics are by her. There are so many examples of artists in the last few years that have come out, especially in the
Yeah.
alternative, especially women led, or all women, that are just that are I remember during COVID that there were more women buying guitars than men. And you just
Hell
see
yeah.
it now. You just see it now,
Right.
and there's
You
no,
see-
there's just, they're dominant in so many areas in the alternative field. But what is it? Each one, I mean, I'm trying to remember. Like, I remember the first time I heard, is it Archie? Will you marry me? Archie, marry me by Always.
And my version of this for Always would be After the Earthquake. I love that song.
So I'm going to Archie, marry me. 141,530,384.
Yeah.
Dream Tonight is the closest second. What's your song?
I don't even think it's in the top. A podcast that I love was like, oh, we love their new album, Blue Rev, like back in 2022. And they were like, "Oh, my favorite song on that is After the Earthquake." And then I
See,
went and listened to the whole thing, but I was like,
My
"I love
favorite.
this song."
the point for us with artists is to have as many doors for you to walk into as possible. I don't think the band cares that After the Earthquake is what brought you in, but so many other people heard the other one. That's what having 3 or 4 records out means, right? So they've been
Right.
around since for 10 years
What,
or something.
2012? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just another example of so yeah, so Blue Rev is something new. So what their first record had Archie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so but that's what kept their fan base going, and I bet you if I played it, which I'm not now, I would go, oh yeah, I know this song. It may have not spoken to me as much as you, but it didn't matter because we're all part of the same community, which is what they're living off of, and what they're playing to, and who's going to run out and go get tickets. I mean, again,
Right.
the ones who come see you live are the ones who care the most.
Exactly.
And the ones who build and the ones who go to see you live are the ones who are buying merch, not just streaming.
Yep.
So that's
Yes, we are buying merch.
Right.
So
Right.
then again, you always started this thing at the 3 pillars. It's the song that allows you to be able to play live, that brings the fans, that builds, and you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse
Right.
and repeat, and that gets, hopefully the goal is that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then some people, timing and fortune and just magic, they go from that level to that level. But the
Right.
goal is to rinse and repeat for years. Look at them, 10 years going.
Yeah.
Again, there's all country bands. There's all these ways that we could go do this. I think I think it's always been, can you make a career out of this? And then from there, the rest is gravy. So everybody wants to be associated to something giant, but if we could be a part of a bunch of people having careers,
Something sustainable.
that's the Lord's work. That's what
Yeah.
that is. So, and I think again, we're never going to we can't give anyone. These are the 3 things you do to write a song that will change people's lives. It's the 10,000 hours. You need to continue to write because all songs are special in their own way. But you need to find that one thing that resonates to as many people as possible, and you'll know that by the reaction that even a select few will have, and then it gets bigger and spreads, or you'll find the fans who are like us who will just not quit until they do that, right? So that's what those songs lead, and then you build from there. But as an artist, you need to be able to. You just can't go, these people are idiots, they don't get it, because that's, where do you go with that, right? So
Well, that's
Right.
also then the definition of insanity if it keeps going on like that. Because it's like you have to do something.
Well,
You
like-
have to change something. If things
well,
aren't
like-
clicking, that's not
well-
the fans' fault, you know?
right. Well, but my point is that when we find something we love, and it was early on, we would tell people, you're idiots, you don't get it, because we were seeing momentum. If what I'm
Right.
saying is, if you're going out and playing and no one is reacting to that song, so there's different. There's the no one's seeing it, but every time I play it, I'm getting a few, I'm getting more, I'm getting positive
Right.
reaction. I'm seeing it work on a small level, and I just need to scale. That's
Right.
what we're talking about. On the other side, it's I've written all these songs. I go out and play, and I can't get more than 20 people, and no one's following me, and I can't. I'm putting it on social media, and again, that is understandably knowing there's too much traffic. Nothing is fair, and there's no level playing field. So, but even if
It's
you
really
had,
fucking hard.
even if you had, and we've been there too, Rebecca, you could vouch for this. Even if we had $1 million and we put it behind something that we thought was going to go, it did not go. You cannot
Yes.
make a hit out of money.
Yes, we we tried.
Oh, you've,
We
not only
tried.
that, you've spent $1 million to make the record, and then you went out but spent more than that, another
Yes,
$1 million or so to go
yes.
get it, and you cannot make a hit just by spending money. So
Right.
yes, there are people who get on that treadmill and they get promoted, and there's all different ways to promote, both overground and underground, to be able to make something happen. But if there's not the artist and the songs to back it up, it won't go. So
Right.
again, everyone talks about Geese, but Geese was real. So yes, would I still believe this? Every artist and every label of everybody would do this, and they would all say yes, this is a great plan, go. Not feel that the feeling bad for others, maybe that there's no level playing field, but at least they're on the advantage one to go. But
Right.
if Geese wasn't real, it wouldn't have gone. So it's not
No,
a
it's
negative
true.
on Geese. It's the fact that great for them that they got the ticket to be able to go. But that your answer is not getting signed and then you'll be Geese, because if Geese wasn't a priority, they wouldn't have gotten that money. So there are people on the label that were not Geese that if they even got it wouldn't have happened, or there are people on the label that weren't the priority and didn't get it anyway. So there's always a pecking order on everything. The way that happened was that people believed in that song. It so
Yeah.
happened that the right people did, and they were right. But if there was no meat, if it wasn't real, if it wouldn't have
Well, also,
stood, it wouldn't have stood.
It would not have.
it would it would
Stood
not
not
have
have stand, which is another great song, and that's R.E.M. So there
in
you
the
go.
place where you live. Yeah,
It
and not
just
even
came to
not even
me.
my favorite.
I said it. Yes, and not even my favorite. And yeah, because Losing My Religion would be mine. If no one ever heard of R.E.M. before, I would play Losing My Religion, but you would play something else. And you know
Well,
what that
see,
means? That means they could have a greatest hits record. That's what that means.
that's right. They could have a greatest
That's
hits.
what that means. When the different people who love an artist play 5 different songs, that means they have a greatest hits record, because they didn't have one. Modern English had one. REM has a greatest hits record. You don't see
Well, yeah, they
I
have a
love
lot.
Modern
They
English
have
with
a
all
lot.
my heart. You don't see a Modern English greatest hits record. And again, no disrespect to them. They had one of the greatest songs change my life, right? So I love that. God bless. But that's what a greatest hits record is.
Like I've been thinking about REM lately because, I've seen a couple of, members of the group playing, and then in Athens they were doing like 40th anniversary like performances, taking like 40th anniversaries of their early albums. But I would think Radio Free Europe might be one of my favorites. But it's one of my favorites. I mean,
What's the one that this one goes out to, the one I love? That was the one when they were getting shit for not having a single, and they went, fuck you, we'll write this, because again the vocals were buried and stuff because you couldn't hear,
yeah,
right? That was a bit of a fuck you that worked out really well. So anybody who said to them you don't have a single and went fuck you and they wrote it, everybody was like, okay, great, yeah, fuck me.
yeah,
You know what, it worked. So again, there's no bad people in that story. They're all just from
no,
different sides trying to get to the same end for everybody else. So that
exactly.
happens a lot when you're on the other side of that studio side, when you're on the other side of the glass, when
Yep.
people are making a record. Again, there are people you disagree with, but they're usually people are in this for reasons because they love it. There's a number of artists that have been challenged to be able to do something when they're signed, and sometimes you get that everybody wins, and sometimes it falls apart.
Well, that's when it also just starts again, right?
So I guess some principles that would be important no matter what. A song should sound great on acoustic guitar. You should be able to play it with the band and say no, it sounds better with the band. No, the song has to be on acoustic guitar, because then you'll know the melody, you'll know the hook. So as naked as it could be, as stripped down as it could be, it needs to rely on that. So when you hear something great on acoustic, it'll be great with a band, right? Or any or however way you produce it. When you're producing, the most important thing is drums and vocals. Everything else matters, but if drums and vocals aren't loud enough, drums drive the song and the vocals are the lyric and the melody line. So those two are the most important things. So you don't want the vocals to be buried. You want to be able to ride those guitars when you hear them. So when you're doing it, but if you can't hear, no one's going to be able to either know, or they're never going to really catch the full melody line. So you're doing it, but riding above it still sounds powerful. So that works no matter what. It's always good to take artists that you love or respect and play next to it and compare. If you don't have the money, you're never going to sound like an artist that's big, that has the money to get that kind of power. But what you don't want, and I hear it all the time on Spotify with indie artists, is you're hearing a song and then you need to raise the volume up because that song sounds low. So if you know that it's not sounding that way, it may not sound as full, but you at least want to have the volume as loud as you possibly can from mixing and mastering to be able to be competitive in that way. Just because you don't want to just go from a song that someone just heard to down here, that wouldn't be good. And always test it with people close to you who will tell you the truth, and friends, and play it out. When you play it live, you'll know the reaction. So you may play 6 songs or 10 songs live, but you'll know which ones get the most applause and which ones get respectful applause, but you'll know. And if you don't have it yet, you just don't have it yet. You just keep writing. But you're looking for those markers. Those markers are people reacting, and then what are reacting to? If fans come up to you and say, I love the song, you could say, what do you love about it? They may just not be able to put into words, but if they come back to you with a line, you know that resonated, right? We see that now with artists that we play, who I love especially, that they're equally compelling on acoustic guitar because their songs are terrific, and and they're getting requested on songs that haven't even been released yet, which means that it's resonating right then and there. What we try and stay true to is what's been true for 40 years or 50. What are the truths? What are the basic truths? And song is the number one truth, right? But how you get there, when you're not signed to a major or even an indie that's there helping you, and even then you might not always see the same way, but an artist themselves needs to know that. But those would be the most I'm sure I'm missing something, but those would be the most important things, at least to know you have accomplished as you go out and try to break through that noise and get that fan base. But as long as you bring it down to, am I getting reaction and am I building? As long as you're building, you're writing something good and you're building. I guess the last thing I say is don't look at the pie, look at the slice.
Well, it's crawl, walk, run.
Yes.
Right?
Or if you're Russ, it's run, run, run.
That's a song too. Is that Keith Richards doing Rudolph the Red Reindeer on a Christmas song? Sorry. I think Run 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 would be.
Oh, that's Chuck Berry.
It's Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
No, it's the Velvet Underground.
Well, I'm sure it's multiple song. I'm sure Chuck Berry could. Then Keith Richards would have done it too. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I think in lyrics, so something popped in my head. I may be wrong, but it was a song somewhere.
There's part of this, the Spiritualized First album, which has served me in multiple chapters of my life, but it's also something that if I need to really focus on writing something, I will put that on. People we worked with would know that I was like in the zone if I had that on playing, because I needed to focus. But there's a line there: run, 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 run. So running is universal, apparently.
Yeah, so I want to add one more thing that's important, because we haven't really. This is a continual conversation, but if you're a songwriter and you want to learn from like the best, go listen to Jason Isbell. I don't think a podcast about songs would be complete. I mean, you want to talk about Elton John and Bernie, you could go on, and Springsteen, you could go on, but Jason Isbell's solo records, and this is after a guy was in a band, was an alcoholic, was kicked out of the band because he was so trashed. And again, I've had much experience with this, but was a major talent, could have been just on the wayside now by the side of the road, got himself, again, the strength to get yourself clean is unbelievable. And then, you write the songs that he wrote on those records with the melody line, again, acoustic guitar, with a melody. He could do it with a band or acoustic, but you listen to those records, from Cover Me Up to that wasn't even the first song I heard that made me stop the car. There's lines in 24 Frames that weren't written before and won't be written again that are that good. But so is Cover Me Up. But I'm just saying that this man wrote songs that stop time and then move forward. There was a before Jason Isbell solo and after, and I don't think there are many people in this century that have written the kind of songs that Jason has. So if you want to listen to someone, dig himself out and then become, and again, another artist that should be bigger than he is, and also he's acting. So there you go. But another artist that should be that big, there's no one that I know of that I just can't. You can't compare the kind of songs that he's written. So if you want to learn, if you want to compare and go, am I resonating like that? Again, different genre, so everybody's got a different thing. But the quality of songwriting from Jason Isbell is second to none.
I think that that's another kind of indicator for you, though, when you say, I had to pull the car over, because we've used this talking about some other artists as well.
Haven't you done that? I've done that. Seriously.
I don't drive. I mean, I rent.
Oh, all right. So have you stopped what you're doing? Have you stopped what you're doing and go, I have to find who this. So Alanis Morissette was what I have to stop what I'm doing. I remember being in LA the first time hearing Royals by Lorde. I pulled over. Was I in LA or New York? And I missed a train. I pulled over, stopped, text the kids, and went, this is going to be the biggest song of the year. Go find, and because I had to, that's what it is. I had to wait because it was on radio. I had to wait to hear who it was. So I waited, and I think I missed something. I was late to an appointment, or I missed a train. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. I was fine with my excuse. I didn't care because it was too important. And I waited until they announced it was Lorde, and then text everybody and said, forget this.
And for me, through Royals, I then found the rest of that album, and Ribs and Buzzcut Season. I still remember I was in my car and the sunroof was open. It was like fall. It was kind of like dusk. And I remember that song came on and I was like, oh my God. I like had a religious experience. Like, and to this day, depending on what mood I'm in, if I hear either of those songs, like I will literally just like burst into tears out of just like nostalgia and just that time in my life back then and feeling that. Like I know we kind of touched on this a little bit, but like it's crazy how songs can just like transport you back to another time and like those same feelings and everything. Like with Ribs and Buzzcut Season, especially if I'm coming home from the bar and I'm like, let me throw on a banger, like I will throw on like the Dolby Atmos version of it, the 8D version of these songs. Like I'm like so obsessed with everything about them, but it's not even the single, but I found it through the single.
It was a fantastic record, and it's great that you fit. That's the whole point. That's what songs do.
Yeah.
I'm
the
just
same with
so
Lana Del Rey,
grateful.
though. I found everything through Summertime Sadness.
I'm just so grateful that I came up with a reference that she didn't say, I just was born that year.
Oh,
it's really it's really great. Lorde, I remember when I was 2 and my mom was playing this thing. So I'm just grateful myself for actually bringing up an example where Heather could say, I was driving. Like this isn't the, she was fucking, she was over 18. Driving. So she was driving.
Well, we can drive at 16 in Florida. But
okay. Well,
right.
you could probably drink and drive at 16 in Florida with a shotgun too. So I'm sure that's a little loud. But I mean, I just want to feel lucky that I brought a reference up that she was actually driving in. It just made me. I think we're done now.
Well, speaking of the car and Lana Del Rey, I had this written down just as like a note. I still remember like exactly what the sky looked like, everything, when I first heard Summertime Sadness on the radio. Because I was like, oh my God, like this Lana Del Rey artist, like that's my girl, but like she's not mainstream or whatever. And it was on Sirius XM. And I turned that shit, we were in the driveway, I turned that shit up so loud. My mom came out and was like, turn this down, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, you don't understand, Lana Del Rey is on the fucking radio. And I'm like, but it was a monumental moment. I remember exactly where I was and everything when I heard it.
But sometimes you want to be surrounded by that sound too.
Oh yeah.
You know, you want to be surrounded by it because when I do drive, normally I have,
when I drive, I have a whole ass concert in my car.
Yeah, I want to turn it up, and I'm being told by one child who has almost perfect pitch and the other one who has aesthetic or whatever, like. Turn it down. But
why would it be turned down? They didn't like it?
No, it's too loud. My family's the same way. They're like, why is this so loud? I can't hear it. I'm like
quieter stuff, but I want to, and I also tend to turn up the bass too. So I'm always like, make the adjustments. I'm driving and I'll tell whoever's in the car with me, like, turn up the bass. But I would say, like, for me, it's probably Wet Leg's first album, like Chaise Lounge.
Oh God.
I told my sister about it, and my sister is like one of my music buddies, and it just bypassed her. And I'm like, no, but there's also this kind of inside music industry kind of story too. I told friends, I told family, I told ex-family. I was like,
You're like,
no,
you guys.
yeah, no, you have to hear it.
Yeah.
And then people were coming, oh my God, wow. Like, thank you. It's the whole package. It's the bass, the visuals, it's the tongue-in-cheek commentary, like through their lyrics. It's, yeah,
Head, heart,
one of my favorites.
head, heart, and hips. You know,
Head, heart, and hips. There you go.
there you go. I mean, I love the wet leg. I was like that when I first heard Blonde Shell too. I mean, there's Oyola. First, there again. We're all going back to songs, and you could do several podcasts on songs that move you. But
Yeah.
but watching you both and listening to you both talk about songs you love, your whole mood changes.
Right.
Oh yeah. I can't
Yeah.
wait to stop recording and go turn it
But but my point is, there's the power of the song.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't really think you watch a TV series or a movie. I mean, sometimes maybe a movie you could walk out of. I guess I was like that with The Matrix, where you just like you're lit up. You're lit up.
Well, we know
Right.
you were.
Well,
we know you were.
Yeah, and the shows I watch, for Mary is like I'm more crying. So or lit up, lit up in a different way.
Yeah.
So
You were not lit walking out of the Matrix, but you were, let's say, I'm going to say inspired, and you can color in that if you want.
I would say lit up. No, I was embarrassing in front of
all
people.
right.
So no, I would say
Right.
that I was doing Matrix moves in the parking lot. No,
You were
I was
acting it out.
No, yeah, that was not cool. My point was that the power, even reflecting on songs that you love. So we talked about it has to be great in acoustic guitar. You want to play it in front of fans and friends because fans rule. And we talked about comparing it, and drums and vocals. The reaction that you have, that's what you want. That's
Right.
what you want people to. There's your bar. When you talk
Yep.
about everybody, I don't care if you're a non-artist or an artist. Everybody talks about songs the same way when they hear it. That's when you know. When you see that in people, when you've inspired that in people, there is
There's
no
your feedback.
there is
Yeah.
no map to get there because so many different genres and so many different ways and so many different styles and there's no one way to God. There's just all of that. But when you get there, that's how you know. So that's why the 10,000 hours are important. That goes back to your 300 songs and only a certain percent would get there for even the best
Yep.
of everyone, right?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. There's a through line of truth that works for decades, works for thousands and millions of artists, works for labels. There's a through line of truth. The point is that no one knows how to get there and no one could tell you how to get there. But there
Right.
are a few of us that know you're there. But you need to be one of them too as an artist. You need to go, I know. That's what
Right.
that is. So I think that is the through line and it's a through line for why we got together. It's a through line for the company. It's a through line for everything we do. That's the truth of it. That's the bar. That's what matters, and that's where you want to be in everything. And to be able to have that feeling like you just showed, that's a great way to live your life. You want more of that. That's legal.
Agreed.
It's legal. That's the great thing about it. It's legal.
It is.
So I don't think there's anything more.
All right, I want to end on one thing because when I was taking notes and doing this yesterday, I was going through like all the different like eras of my life and what type of music I was listening to and stuff. And it got me thinking, what was my first favorite song? So I have mine. I know this is like very just off the cuff, but I wasn't sure if you guys remembered what your first favorite song was.
You can't ask this without context. Again, we
That is
live
so
high
unfair.
fidelity.
Like, I wasn't sure if you remembered as a kid, like, oh, I was obsessed with this song. Like, mine was Metamorphosis by Hilary Duff. That was my fucking jam. Like, do you remember anything as a kid where that was like, I loved that?
Oh my God!
Like
yes.
your first experience.
Oh my God! Yes. Are you kidding?
I knew you would have something.
But I loved Sugar Sugar.
Yeah.
I loved the Monkees. I loved Valerie. I loved the first Monkees record. I was in love with Neil Diamond before I ever knew who he was.
Right, that's all brill building.
It's all brill building stuff.
I was actually telling Heather, I don't know, a few weeks ago, I was explaining the whole brill building thing and said you have to do some research. You have to look up what the Brill Building
Oh
was.
God! I mean, I yes, you again. I feel like Spencer Tracy in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Old, yes, but the memories are there. You think I don't remember the first time I held Led Zeppelin and heard Whole Lot of Love? I remember where I was. Like right now, I remember I remember. Are you kidding? You don't know what you don't. I know where I was the first time I heard Born to Run. I know where I was the first time I heard. It's not even a favorite song, Dancing in the Dark. And I didn't, and I, again, first time I heard it, I didn't like it. I still remember where I was in a shower at someone else's house in Pennsylvania of a band I was managing. I remember that. I remember where I was when I heard it on the radio. I mean, I remember the first time I heard Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, I remember the first time I heard the Beatles. I remember the first time I heard the Stones. Yeah, come on. Who are you talking to? With like... Rebecca, I'm sure you have 8 of those or 10 of those too.
I know, I do, but I'm trying to think of the earliest.
That's what I was saying. Like your earliest.
She said
that you were
earliest.
Like,
That's why I thought of Sugar Sugar. That's why the Monkees.
Okay, so I'm thinking in grade school we were in the back of a station wagon. We had a sleepover, and we were singing the songs to the Grease soundtrack because it was all over the radio.
I love that.
That's like the first thing that comes to. Yeah, I mean that's the first thing that comes to mind, and around that time, it was the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, which are.
No, I'm just laughing because because even your references make me old. So yes, and I knew the producer of this of that soundtrack. So yeah,
see,
okay.
I say Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Fever. I know the songs. Like I love If I Can't Have You, Yvonne Elliman. If I Can't Have You, I Don't Want Nobody, Baby. You know, I could sing it right now, but I
no, I know this. I hear it in my head, and I will have to play something else to get it out of it. But the power of the song is that it's just it's great to hear you young folks talking about these things. But yes, I mean you're talking about a soundtrack that was monstrous too. The truth is the truth is the truth. It's like the song is the song, the song. So as you're bringing this up. There's a reason. There's just a reason, and that bar needs to be, for everything. It's just unforgettable like that. Now I just named a Nat King Cole song. Unforgettable. There you go. So with that, but yes, we do, Heather, remember as my chair squeaks as I don't know if it's me or the chair. As you hear the squeakiness, we do remember, yes, I remember, I used to play, do you know what a snack table is? Is that a familiar thing? They're like plastic tables that people bring out for pictures that you put noshes on.
TV tray?
Yeah, TV tray. It stands up, it's like plastic.
Yeah, it folds.
Okay,
yeah.
So I used to play keyboards on that. That's
what I call it, just a folding table.
Well, it was plastic back then. If you looked it up, it's not wood or fake wood. Yeah, or metal. It was a metal table. I only used fucking metal cocktail tables, and we called it cocktail for it. No, it wasn't a cocktail. It was a metal table. We didn't even use the word cocktail table. I don't know, but yes, I used to use it as a keyboard.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, we're never gonna finish this. Oh my god.
Don't get me. Isn't that a song too? Don't get me started.
Well, there's "Start Me Up."
No, Graham Parker.
Let's Get It Started.
Graham Parker did a song with something. Sorry.
Let's Get It Started.
Yeah, I don't remember the Graham Parker song. No, that's go. Don't get excited. My fault. My bad. My bad. Went to the.
We can say that to Rebecca too.
My fault. What? My fault?
No, don't get excited. She was ramping up.
Started on a laughing tear.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the cocktail thing would be that funny, but I must have missed something on that. Sorry.
As I like to say, Russ, you're funny today. All right, Rebecca, would you like to read us out?
Thanks for listening to the Indie Music Network podcast. If you found this episode helpful, share it with an artist, fan, friend, or someone in the industry. And if you want more practical, no bullshit strategies to build your music career, hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Follow us on socials at Not Dead Yet Media and contact us, submit questions, or send us music through our website, notdeadyetmedia.com/contact. The music you're hearing today is artist Tosh Wolf's song, Electric Blue. Until next time, keep making music that matters. And remember, in the words of Frank Turner, we can get better because we're not dead yet.
Now's the time to say goodbye to all our company.
Bye.